Uncle Trev and the Baldness Cure by Jack Lasenby. A week or two after I gave my talk to the class on the great frost out on my uncle's farm, he came. "I won't take it off," he said to me. "The tips of my ears got frostbitten in that blizzard I was telling you about, and I'm losing the hair off the top of my head." "But you are bald anyway," I told him. "You may not have noticed it," said Uncle Trev, "but there are a lot of young hairs coming away up there before the big frost cut them back." I hadn't seen any young hairs growing on his head, but didn't like to say so. Instead I asked, "Why are you wearing a woolly cap?" "Well, actually," Uncle Trev said, "I decided to try and grow some hair again. It's warmer, you know, if you've got a bit of hair on top of your head." I thought and said, I suppose it must be." "Yes," said Uncle Trev. "Bought some stuff from the Rawleys man, rubbed it on. But it turned out it was horse liniment, and it burnt my scalp like fire. Then Squeaker Tuna told me to cut an onion in half and rub that on my head. I tried that, but the other farmers wouldn't stand beside me at the sale yards, and old Tip growled and wouldn't get in the truck with me. Then Squeaker said he'd heard beetroot juice would grow hair on an egg. He reckoned Aunt Daisy had said it on the radio, and I know Aunt Daisy's pretty reliable, so I painted my head with it. The stock agent called out, took one look at me, and asked if I'd been scalped. He clapped his hand over his mouth and danced around the cowshed going ki-yi-yi like a red Indian. I'd been going to give my business to another agent anyway. Well, the beetroot juice didn't seem to grow much hair, and I got sick of looking as if I was bleeding to death through my scalp, so I had an idea. I thought, if it's good enough for me to top dress the paddocks with manure, then it should be good enough for me to top dress my head. The manure makes the grass grow on bare spots out in the paddock, so it should make hair grow on the bare spots on my head. "Actually," he said to me, "this woolen cap's full of a special mixture of superphosphate, lime, and a basic slag. How long have you been top dressing your head?" "Oh, just a few days," he said. "It's a bit early yet to tell. I can see some young hair coming away, but I doubt if you'd notice any difference yet." We went inside to see if there was a cup of tea going. Mum took one look at Uncle Trev and said, "Take that hat off inside my house at once." Uncle Trev took off his woolen cap. "The tips of your ears look all right," I said to him. "That's wool for you," he said. "Marvellous stuff, wool. They turned black and were just about to drop off with a frostbite." "Can't see any top dressing on your head." "No, you wouldn't," said Uncle Trev. "That means it's worked into the scalp. It'll be feeding the roots. My hair will sprout any day now, and when it does, I'll have trouble keeping it short enough to see through." "Your uncle's getting old," my mother sniffed after he'd gone. "Starting to feel the cold. It's a sign." I didn't tell her Uncle Trev was wearing a woolly hat because he had decided to grow his hair. He came in a few days later wearing his old felt hat again. When I asked if his hair was growing, he took off the hat, rubbed his hand over his head, and said it had been a terrible mistake. "That top dressing I was telling you about," he said. "It worked too well. My hair sprouted like spring grass. It grew that fast. I was having to cut it before I went to bed and again in the morning, or I couldn't get my shirt over my head. Soon it grew in so long I couldn't find my mouth to put tucker in, and I grew weak from starvation. I was having to make sure that I cut it before breakfast, morning tea, dinner, afternoon tea, and again before tea in the evening. And I had to carry a pair of hand shears with me because I was getting lost out on the farm. One day I forgot them, and my hair grew over my eyes, so I had to feel for a fence and find my way home along it. I didn't dare let go of the wires. I could have died out there." "Didn't the barbed wire tear your hands?" "Not only that," said Uncle Trev, "but my hair got tangled in it. I had to chew myself free, but my false teeth were sitting on the mantelpiece at home, and my gums don't make much an impression on that air. Luckily, old Squeaker saw me from up the back of his place, and he rode over and cut me free with a pair of hedge clippers. It was getting so bad I was scared to leave the house. What if I got caught in that new clothesline I'd made for myself? You know, the one that goes round and round in the wind? Well, I decided there and then the only thing for it," said Uncle Trev. "I trimmed off all the hair I could reach with the hand shears, sharpened my skinning knife till it had an edge on it like a razor, and lathered and shaved my head all over." He took off his hat. "It's as bald as ever," I said. "I've decided to keep it that way," said Uncle Trev. "The only trouble is, I've I've got to wear a hat all the time. If somebody's top dressing, and I got some on my scalp, I'd be into the same trouble all over again. What did you do with the hair you cut off? Pressed it into bales, and sent it into that stock agent who scoffed at me when I painted my head with beetroot juice. He sold it as merino wool, and I got the top price at the sale. Just wait till the buyers work out what it really is. That stock agent's going to be sorry he laughed at me. You know, he said, I never realised what trouble hair was when I was a young chap. I know now how lucky I was to go bald from having to cut it short back and sides when I was your age. Is that what makes it go bald? Sure is, said Uncle Trev. When he'd gone, Mum was washing the cups and saucers. I was drying them, and she said, Your uncle had a fine head of hair when he was your age, but then he lost it all by the time he was 30 through putting too much hair oil on it, so it couldn't breathe. Is that what he did? He's not trying any quack cures to try and make it grow again, is he? He says he doesn't want it to grow again, I said. He says it's too much trouble. Mum sniffed. Never underestimate a man's vanity when it comes to his hair, she said. What's vanity, Mum? Never mind, she said. What you don't know isn't going to hurt you. Here's sixpence. Now you run down and ask Mr. Tucker to cut your hair. Tell him I said to give it a good cut too, short back and sides, and plenty off the top.